Good day, everyone. Welcome to Studio 39 Design Studio. This is Richmond speaking, your architectural and interior designer. In this video, we are going to be doing a cost estimation exercise using a BOQ. BOQ is an acronym for Bill of Quantities. The Bill of Quantity that we are going to be using is a template that I created myself from scratch based on my industry knowledge. It's an Excel spreadsheet which has already information filled in, and using the takeoff of the materials from the project, it automatically quantifies the costs and the material at the same time. Usually there are two options to quantify or do a cost estimation. You can take the square meterage of a project, the footprint, and then you will attach a price per square meter. The amount that you can use per square meter to identify how much the project is going to cost to construct is usually 6,500, but that's an old figure. The recent figure is 7,500. And usually in the townships, I would go down to 5,500. And then on the high end, you were looking at around 13,500. And that is usually based on the type of finishes you are going to be using on that project. Now, the amount that you are going to end up with once you've multiplied the area with the unit price per square meter for that project will cover the material cost, the labor cost, and also the management fees for the project manager basically, which can also double up as a profit for the contractor, but that's a story for another day. The BOQ method, whereby you know exactly how much the material is required, and then you attach a unit price, and then you multiply the unit price with the quantities of the material, and giving you the total amount of that material, and then you go down the list. That is a bit more accurate than, say, doing a square meter cost estimation. So let's get into the computer right now and jump into the spreadsheet, and I'll run you through exactly how I do this for my own projects, or my own process of quantifying how much projects are going to cost at the end of the day. Okay, guys, I'm actually recording this for the second time because the first time I noticed when I was starting to do my edits that I did not do, the microphone was not working. So here's the file that we're going to be using. It's an ArchiCAD file. We're going to be using this model right here to do our quantities. I'm going to be quite fast with this, and this is the Excel spreadsheet that we're going to be using. This is a BOQ template that I created for myself. I've already identified that at the top here, this is where you put the code. The code for this project is 2407, and then TDG, is it TDG? Yes, TGD. The project name here will go in there, and the description, which is proposed outer building, and then the date, we'll probably put in today's date, 11. So we start with the day, which is 11 November 2025, and this is where you'll put your client's name. So as you can see here, this part is the front end of the BOQ, which goes up to the total construction cost, including VAT. This is where you calculate the VAT at. And this is the total cost, construction cost, including material, management, labor. And then this is the labor cost, which is derived from this part of the Excel spreadsheet. So all of this is labor. And then these are the management costs. The management costs are quantified using a formula here. So this is where the material cost will actually end up. This is the unit cost. These are the units. So it's either we are quantifying items or cubes or square meters. So in some areas it's supposed to be square meters, like here. In some areas it's linear meters. So it's either linear meters, square meters, cubic meters, or items. And these are the quantities. Usually these are numbers. So the formula says this multiplied by that gives us that. And then that is 10% at this point. This is the management fee. If you want the management fee to be 20%, to be say 20%, then you will have to go in here and change that to 0.2, and then you will have to then affect it on all the other cells coming after that. But for now, we just leave it at 10%. So this is automated automatically. So the management fees will come out automatically. And then this is the material cost, including contingencies. So contingencies is usually at 20%. So I will take the total cost of materials right here. And then what I'll do is these would be my contingencies. So it's the sum of that multiplied by 0.2, which gives us 20% of that. And then from you add both of these, which will give you that amount. Now at this point you add all of these three to give you this amount, and then from this amount you derive 15% for VAT or tax, and then at the end of it, that will be the total cost of the project. So that's where we are with it. And then there's the back end takeoff, because at the we're gonna be doing takeoff quantities right now. We have the substructure, we have the superstructure, lintels, which is also part of the superstructure, concrete roof, IBR sheeting, tile roof, gutters, finishes, landscaping, boundary, windows, and doors. As you can see here, you have point 0, which is handover and site establishment, and then point 1, which is substructure. And these are the items that come under the substructure. These are standard things that will show up. And then the superstructure, these are the standard things that will show up under the superstructure. And then the roof is either you're doing a concrete roof, or you're doing an IPR sheeting, corrugated roof, and then you're doing a Roman tile roof. And then this is plumbing. All of the plumbing here is first, second fix. All of the first fix quantities will have to be done separately by a plumbing professional. So let's update that. It's supposed to be saying plumbing here. And then under the plumbing, you would include gutter. And if you're doing a concrete roof, you will include drainage for the concrete roof under the plumbing. That's what I usually do. Under electrical, this is second fix quantities. Nothing on the first fix, because the first fix will be quantified by a professional electrician. And then these are the finishes and wall finishes, ceiling, landscaping. So all of these are all finishing quantities. And then boundary wall, if you want to do that, if that's required. And then you will have your provisional sums. Now your provisional sums, you have your timber doors, aluminum windows, garage doors, garage motor, kitchen cabinets, built-in cabinets, wardrobes, and then timber structures. These are like cladding and stuff like that on the outside. And then you have steel structures also on the outside most of the time. Structural or non-structural feature. Both of these are sort of like extra stuff that you put onto the project. And then you have glass balustrades, and then you have steel balustrades, and which I priced at 1,500 rand per linear meter. So for every meter, the total cost or the rate is around 1,500. Swimming pool, decking, yeah. So basically, these are the things that we're going to be quantifying at this point in time. So what we're going to do, because all of these numbers are actually quantified on the back end. So first and foremost, site establishment, maybe I'll say 10,000 rand for the site establishment, and then demolition. The only demolition that we're going to be needing on this project is on the boundary wall at the back, because this project is currently right up against the boundary wall right here, boundary line. So there's already an existing wall which will need to be demolished, and now maybe I'll put in some 5,000 rand for that, and then excavation another 10,000 just for the sake of it. So this will help you to sort of like start off the project, especially if you don't want to dig into your pocket at the beginning of the project. I'll say at least give me this amount to sort of like get the ball rolling on site from the client, so that they can see that the work is actually getting done. And then let's do the substructure right now. So the substructure, you will have a tab where you'll be quantifying. Now when you look at the ground floor layout, so let's just go to the ground floor layout right here. I think so I'm happy about that. So this is where we are going to be quantifying at. So substructure, first and foremost, we start with the concrete foundation, which is going to show up right here, concrete foundation strips. So I'm just going to look for lengths that I need to be quantifying. So I'm going to go horizontally from left to right, and I'm going to go vertically from the bottom up. So from left to right, we are looking at about 3.1. So we're going to say 3.2 on this one. We're looking at the foundation strips, right? So I'm going to take the outer layer so that we can overestimate. So I need 4.3, rather 4.3 right here. And then the next strip is this one, which is also going to be 4.3. And then this strip right here, which I'm going to take at the bottom of this to the top of that, which is 5.8. And then I'm going to take the total length of this one, which is going to be 5.6. So I'm rounding off to the highest denominator, 8.6. Now I'm going horizontally, which is this is going to be 11. So I'm going to use 11 meters right here. So I'm going to count 11 meters, and then I'm going to go up here, which is going to be 3.6 for that. There's another strip here, which is going to be inside to inside, which is going to be 2.8. I think the other one also is 2.8. Okay. And the standard depth of all these foundation strips is usually 6. The width is 600, and then the depth is 300 millimeters. So we're quantifying here in meters so that we can get the cubic meter, not the cubic centimeter or the cubic millimeter at this point. And then this one is has a width of 450. So we're gonna go with 0.45, and then the depth of it is 0.085, which we are going to be using is I'm just gonna go 0.1 so that I can easily overestimate. Even on this one, I'm going to go 0.5, 0.5, or 0.1. These are the amount of cubes of concrete that is required, and the concrete amount is my mentor told me that I should actually change my quantities for any concrete work from 1.5 to 1.8. And then the cement bags that are going to be required. So these are the takeoffs. These are the material. These are the sand bags. These are the cement bags that are required. This is the amount of concrete stones that are required, and this is the amount of river sand that is required. So on the front end, I need about 9 cubic meters. 8.7, round off to the highest denominator, change this to 0.8. So basically that's how that is done. Okay, now we're continuing with the substructure, right? Now we're quantifying the amount of bricks on the foundations that are going to be required. So same method right here. So I'm going for 3.2, 3.2, 3.2, because there is another one right here. And then I need this one, which is going to be around 5.2. And then the final one right here is going to be 8.4. All right. We got 8.4 right here. And then across we have 11. Actually, I'm supposed to be doing the wall. So wall to wall right here is, yeah, I'm still going to be using 11. 11 also accounting for this one. And then the last one is going to be 3.2 also, 3.2. Now the depth of the foundation brickwork is usually around 680 millimeters, which is about 8 courses of brickwork. Can't really remember right now, but I'm going to be typing in 0.1, 0.68 for that. And then I'm going to affect everything coming down. These are the amount of square meters that is required. It also quantifies the amount of linear meters. The reason for that is because we want to know the amount of brick forcing that is going to be required. This is already sort of like calculated as we go along. Now, for this type of brick, you will need 52 bricks per square meter, which is going to give us that when you multiply this number and that number. Now, what I do, because it's a double skin wall, I am going to multiply this amount by 2, which is going to give me that, and this is what I'll be getting. I'm just realizing right now that I need to also calculate the amount of strips, reinforced strips that are in the foundation. So I'm just gonna sort of like put in 5,000 for that, and I'm gonna make it right because that is a cost. That is an estimation on my part. So this is how much I'll be telling the client to sort of like account for when they're doing when we're doing the purchasing for this, for the reinforcement that goes into the foundation. There is no single brick foundation that is required, so I'm gonna be going ahead and adding 0 for that, which is gonna end up with 0. And then the binding mortar, you got 1 cubic meter. I'm sure if this is going to end up as 2 cubic meters, so I need 5 cement bags, and I need um, 1 cube or 1 meter of building sand. The brick forcing has already been quantified automatically. This specific brick forcing, because it's double skin, this one, none is required. If I had something here, it would show up as we require brick forcing. So let's maybe say if I had 10 meters here, it would then show up that I need brick forcing here, but I do not need any brick forcing for a single skin foundation brick wall. So, and then this is the surface bed. The surface bed, I only need the square meters. So I need the area here, which will be multiplied by the depth of the foundation. I need to overshoot the amount, so I'm going to go 0.1 here, which is going to be the depth that I'm going to be using. If you go to the plan, you will see that in section, this is the size of the surface bed, 85 millimeters. All right, with that said, I just need to go onto the ground floor, and I know that my foundation, or the surface bed in this case, is going to be encompassed in this area. With that said, I just need to find out how many square meters is that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's about 50 square meters. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say 50 right here, which multiplied by that is 5 cubic meters. And then it tells me how many. Okay, I need to also update that 0.8, and then it tells me how many cement bags I need, how much concrete stones I need, and how much of river sand do I need. And then same thing here, 50. With all the takeoff and the quantities or the calculations already done, I don't have to explain them right now. It has told me that I need 3 units of the 22.4 by 6 meter concrete reinforcing steel mesh. And then for the damp-proof membrane at 50 square meters, I will need 2 units of damp-proof membrane. So when you go to the front end, you know that this is how much brickwork we need. This is how much mortar we're going to need. This is how much brick forcing we're going to need. We don't need any brick forcing at this level right now. And I'm realizing here this is supposed to be 2 rand per brick. The prices have gone up since the last time I made this. And then the concrete surface bed is going to be this amount. This amount of cubic meters is required, and the steel mesh is going to be that. This the unit price multiplied by that gives us that, and then the damp-proof membrane is that amount multiplied by that, which gives us that. Now let's get into the superstructure. So with the substructure already done, I can just drag this tab to the side, and then I can go into the superstructure. Now on this one, we're not using a concrete, a clay block or clay brick. We're using cement blocks. Cement blocks which are going to be 190 millimeters thick. So starting off from this point on, so I'm going to go 0 on all of this because we don't need anything. And this clay brick is not really required. So there's 0 that are going to be bought. So under this, even the motor is going to be at 0. The brick forcing is going to be at 0. The damp-proof course is going to be at 0. The brick forcing again. And then the plaster is going to also be 0. And then the single brick wall, I actually have 2 of those here. Oh, wrong drawing. I think this was the approved drawing. Yeah, this was the approved drawing. So I only have this brick wall that needs to be quantified. It's 2.8 meters long brick wall. So it's 2.8. Length, the height is 2.6. So I can go ahead and 0, 0, 0 right there, and then 0. So that's how many bricks I'm going to be required for this single skin wall, single brick wall. And then that's how much I'm going to be required for the cement and the building sand. I'm assuming this will be ending up as 1 cubic meter. Okay, I don't need any brick forcing on this. I don't need any damp-proof course. This spec or that spec, but I do need this spec and I do need that spec on when it comes to the damp-proof membrane and also the brick forcing. So let's move on to the next thing. I'm gonna start taking off for the 190 millimeter block. So we're gonna start from left to right and then bottom up. So left to right, we have this wall which is going to be 3.2. So start with 3.2, and then the next wall I see is this one, which is going to be 5.2. And then the next wall is the far right wall, which is going to be 8.4. And then we start from the bottom up. See this wall, which is going to be 11. And then so there's 2 of these, 11. And then the one on top, which is going to be 3.2. Now all these walls are 2.6 high. So those are the square meters. This is the total square meters. I'm not even going to include the openings on this one because I would like to sort of like overestimate. So that's how many blocks I'm going to need for these blocks per square meter. It's 13 and then I take 13 multiplied by the square meter. That's what I'm going to be getting for the motor. It's 2 cubic meters, which is going to be 8 cement bags and 2 building sand, 2-meter building sand. I need 11 rollers, and then I don't need any more of this brick forcing. I need 11 of this brick forcing, none of that. I need 1 of this damp proof course and none of that, so I can delete that right now. And then this will be the ratio for the plaster on the inside and the outside. And I don't need any one of the 140 millimeter cement blocks, so I'm going to go ahead and just type in 0 here, 0 there, 0 there, all the way through. I'm going to type in 0 here so that the openings are not accounted for. So that's 0, so everything ends up being 0 at the bottom. And we do not have any suspended floor slab, so I can just type in 0 here. We do not have a concrete staircase, so I'm gonna 0 here. So now I'm done with the superstructure, so let's go back to the front end. So this was the substructure, everything is accounted for. And then the superstructure also, everything's accounted for. The cement, the clay brick is accounted for. It's actually 2 rand, and then the cement block is accounted for 13. Maybe let's go to 15 right here. And these ones not needed. The bond is accounted for. Brick forcing and damp proof membrane is accounted for. Lintels, I think we can just calculate the lintels here. So based on the lintels, this is the formula that I use. These quantities, or these amounts for the size of the lintels, is based on Leroy prices. So what we're going to be doing here, I want to have an understanding of how much should I really charge for the lintels. So let's start with the windows first. In fact, let's start with the doors. I have 1, 2 of these D1 doors. They are 900, and then we round off to 900, and then we need to add 0.600. So to understand this, every lintel comes in increments of 300 from a 900 millimeter long. Yeah, I think you guys understand. So the lintels come at increments of 300. That's what I'm accounting for here. So I'm going to be looking here for this type of, I'm going to remove this quantity, these prices here, but I'm looking for that one for the D1. And then also for the D2, it's the same thing. So it's going to end up with 0. That. So I'm still looking at the same amount. Now the 1.5 size is this one, which is going to be 49 rand. So I can just type in 49 rand and then 49 rand here. So on the D1s are double skin because they're on the outside, and then the D2 is going to be single skin, meaning I only need 1 of those. And then I don't have any other doors after that or any other openings, so I can just go ahead and delete that. The only other openings that I have are the windows, and I'm looking at the PTT 1818. And now the PTT 1818 is 1.8 meters, and then we round off to 1.8. So looking at the top here, 1.8, and we add 0.6. So I got what you call here, I got 2.4. So now 2.4 is 105, 105 rand, and these are all on the outside. Okay, and then the other opening that I have is a PT69. I only have 1 of those from what I gather here. I only have 1 of those PT69, PT69, and then that comes at 0.6, and we round off to 900. We always start off at 900. So what I'm going to be adding here is I'm going to be adding a 0.6. 0.6, which is going to be the same as the ones on top, which means that it's 49 Rand. And then I don't need any of these at the bottom, so I don't need any more quantities here, but they are not accounted here because this formula multiplies the amount of if it's a double skin or a single skin, meaning that if it's a double skin, I'll need 2 units of this amount of that length of a lintel, and it's gonna give me this amount, and that's the amount that comes out at the bottom. But there's something that is not really accounted for here. So how many of the D1 doors do I have? I have 2 of them. So what I'm going to do here, I'm gonna say 2, and then the D2 is only 1, and then the PTT 1818, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 of those, and then I have 1 of the PT 69. Now, with that said, what I'm going to do is I am going to give this a sum of this multiplied by the total price. So I can just copy and paste this, and now come and take this formula right here and drop it off here. So this is the exact amount of money that is going to be required for this. So what I'm going to do, because on the front end for the lintels, the cell that is being called is H33, which is this one, H33, or is it 35? It's H35, yes, it's H35. So it's this cell right here, H35. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do a formula which is going to be the sum of, in brackets, what I want to quantify first is I want to quantify a 30% of this, which is going to be multiplied by 0.3. Then I know that that's 30%. So I'm trying to add 30% onto this. Now, inside of this, what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and add on to the formula. So right here, comma, plus the information that's in this cell. And that's exactly the, so what's happening is that I got the 30% plus plus that amount, plus the original amount. The other way to actually price this is to take this amount and just say sum of, I did it the long way around, but either way, take that, multiply by 1.3. It comes out to the same amount. So that's mathematics for you. And then the plaster is also accounted for because of the quantities that we did on the back end for the walls, the plaster for the inside and the outside. And based on the back end information, I already know how many bricks and how many bags of cement and how much plaster sand I'm going to be required for this project. But on the front end, I have the amount of cubes that is required. Okay, with that said, let's move on to the next thing. So I can move the lintel tab to the far end, and then the concrete roof. There is no concrete roof here. There's no IPR roof sheeting. So if you go back to the ArchiCAD file, press F3, you can see that this is a Roman concrete tile roof, even on the elevation. So one of the elevations. So let me just look for an elevation that's relevant. So that's the concrete roof tile that I'm working with right there. So that means that when it comes to the superstructure, I can delete the suspended floor slab information right here, and I can delete the concrete roof and the IPR sheeting roof. Delete all of this, and I'm left with the Roman tile roof 3.1. So what we're going to be quantifying here is all of this information on the back end. So we're going to start at the top. Concrete double Roman tile. So I just need the square area of this. So I want to go to the roof layout. First, it gives me the length. So the first length is this, which is 10 meters. So I can go 10 meters here, and then the second length is going to be 8 meters. So I'm gonna go 8 meters, and then the width. I could easily just try and give us the width on this, but I want to go to the section to get the true reflection of the width because it's at a slope, and I am lazy to put in a proper formula to do that. So it's 3.5, 3.5. So let me just double check that again. 3.5, yes, 3.5. And this is the square meterage that I get for both of these lengths, and that's the square meter that I get. This is the amount of tiles, of concrete Roman tiles that are going to be required for this roof. And as you can see at the top right here, 13 per square meter. So I took this value, multiplied it by that, and it gives me that. Now we need to look at the ridge. There is no ridge because it's not a double pitch or a gable roof, so there's no ridge. And then reflective insulation. So I'm going to go ahead and take these amounts right here. So copy and paste that. Sadly, I'm not teaching construction here. I'm just showing you guys exactly how I'm doing the takeoffs. So I can't really explain why some of these things are put in this way. But for those people who understand construction, they will definitely understand why some of this information is like this. So that's how much units I'm going to get. On the front end, it's going to round off to the highest denominator, which is going to end up being 2 units. And then the amount of purlins. Now the purlins are the 38 by 38 millimeter battens. So 38 and then 38. That's where they sit. And then they sit at 300 center to center, so they would sit like this. Look at me now, I'm explaining construction, but nevertheless what I need to do is I need the same formula that I was just showing you guys. So I'm going to go with 10 and 8. So it's 10 and then 8, center to center 0.3, 0.3, and then the number of units. So we're gonna be buying 6 meter lengths, but obviously we're quantifying for numbers right now for the amount or for cost estimation, so it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to need 91 units for this. And then the trusses. Okay, so now the trusses, it gets a bit tricky. We have the hip, which is this one, and then we have the base, which is this one at the bottom, and then we have the 45, we have the king post, we have a queen post, and we have 45, 45. So when it comes to the hip, if it was a double hip roof, we'll have 2 of those. So I'm going to say 0 on the second one. For the first one, we can just do a measurement here. So we're looking at about 3.5. And then the base is from here to there. So we're looking at 3 meters. And then the king post is the one in the middle, which is about 0.9. And then we have another one, queen, which is going to be 0.6. 0.6, and then another one right here, which is going to be 0.4. And then let's look at the ones that I missed out on. I think the 45-degree ones. So I'm going to go from this point to that point. I'm just ballparking the numbers at this point in time. And then from here to here, which is going to be 0.8. Number of lengths required. Okay, so how many do I need? So I think when it comes to the lengths, we need to take into account this amount, which is going to be 0.8 So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sum up that. That's what I'm going to do, 18. So I'm going to take this number. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say that and take that divided by 1, which gives us 18. The reason why it's 18 is because all of these are at a center of 1:1. What I could have done is that I could have just gone ahead and said, I want to account for the lengths of this length, this directional length, and also this directional length right here, which comes up to 18 meters, right? Now, what I'm going to be doing, it's 18 meters all around, all the way to the bottom. And then what I'm going to be doing under here is I'm going to be saying sum of 18 divided by 1, which is going to be 18, obviously. And then that formula, I just transpose it to the other cells below it. Now, this is going to multiply this by that, which gives me linear meters. And then the linear meters are then sort of like added up to this amount, meaning this is the unit of 6 meter 114 by 38 millimeter SA pine roof truss at 6 meters, obviously. So that's how many units I'm going to need. And then for the roof plate, that's very easy. I have 2 roof plates. I have this one, which is about 7 point. So roof plate. So let's do that again. 7.4 and 5.2. So it's going to be 1 and 1. If it was a hip roof, I'll go 2 and 2. But for now, it's 1 and 1 because it's a monopitch roof. So there, I only need 2 lengths for that, which maybe I'll probably need about 3 of those lengths. And then the fascia board, unpressed fascia board. The fascia board is on the front, which is those lengths right there. So I can just come here and then say 1 and 1. That's how many units are required for the fascia board. And then the fiber cement socketless beige board. So I don't need any beige board because this is the mono pitch is not overhanging on the highest point. It actually meets a parapet wall. As you can see right here, there's a parapet wall. If it was extending in this direction, you would need a beige board, but we don't need it here, so that's going to be 0. So I'm done with the roof right now. Move it to the side. And now the gutter. I'm not going to be calculating the gutter because on the ground floor, as you can see, we have a concrete apron all the way around, so there's no gutter required. It's not a concrete apron, actually, it's a 1 meter paved apron. So there are no gutters required. So when it comes to the plumbing, right here, I'm going to go ahead and delete any information that's pertaining to the gutter. I'm also going to go ahead and delete any information that's related to the concrete roof drainage information. So what I end up with is all the plumbing quantities. All of that is accounted for, as you can see, guys, on the back end. Everything has been transposed into the front end. And then on the now we're going on to the plumbing. Now on the plumbing, we can just put in the numbers for all of this. So I only have 1 water closet. Maybe let's account for a cistern, and then a basin vanity. So we only have 1 of those, and then double vanity, none of those. Bathtub, none of those. A freestanding bath, none of those. Shower, 1 of those. Double sink is none of those ones, but we have 1 sink. Solar geyser, maybe let's account for a solar geyser. Let's not account for a water tank. Now these quantities are showing up here, but these are all second fixed quantities. When it comes to construction time, you will need to appoint an electrical engineer and a plumber to do the first fix quantities. I am not a specialist in those two, so I can't really price that in right now. And then when it comes to the electrical, as you can see here, guys, same formula. We just identify, do we need any fluorescent light fittings? None of those. So we can say 0 pendants, no ceiling mounted luminaire. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 of those. And then LED downlights, I don't have any LED downlights, so 0. And then wall mounted lights, I have 1, 2 on the outside, so I have 2 wall mounted lights. Light switches, I have 1, 2, I have 1, 2, 3. So I have 3 wall mounted lights. And then plugs, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wall mounted plugs. That's going to be 4. All right. And then LED light strips, none of that. Solar installation, let's say 0 for that. Gate motor, garage door motor. Actually, I should actually remove this because these are actually part of the provisional sums. So I have to fix that for future reference. Let's go ahead and delete that. Now let's look into the finishes. Gotta move it to the far end. Finishes. We start at the top. So we have a ceramic tiles. So for this, I'm just going to go ahead and put in the room names and then put in the square meters that I see here. So I can just go onto the area schedule, as you can see right here, guys. So we do have an office, and then we do have a storeroom, and then we do have a bath. Now, with that said, I don't need to do the dimensions of the room whatsoever. I can just put in the square meters as they are right now. 28.42 and then 2.52, and those are the amount of square meters for the ceramic tiles for this house. There are no porcelain tiles to be used. There are no timber floors to be used. There are no carpets to be used. There are no concrete screeds. There are no timber skirtings, but we do have tile skirting. Now, to quantify the tile skirting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another formula here, which is perimeters. So zone gross or zone net perimeter, we can add that on here, and that's what it's going to give us, as you can see, guys. Remove the net. So I'm going to type in 14, so I'm rounding up to the highest, and then we're gonna do 26, and then we're gonna do 8. There is no aluminum skirting, and then the painting is based on the area which was quantified when we're doing the walls, and that's how many bags of paint is going to be required. And then let's do the wall finishes. Now, when it comes to the wall finishes, we have the kitchen, and we do not have a kitchen here, but we do have a bathroom. And then when it comes to the bathroom, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be taking the perimeter amount, which is going to be around 7.4. Let's do 7.4. And then we're going to be doing a full spec, which is going to be 2.6. And that's how many square meters of bathroom tiles is going to be required for this project. And then stone cladding, there's no stone cladding and there's no timber cladding. Ceiling, we're going to be using the same square meters that we are using for the ceramic tiles. So that area is going to be then transposed into here. So that's the ceiling paint, and then the ranolite is the same, and the ranolite ceiling paint is going to be the same, and then the ceiling paint is going to be the same amount. So we have new tech ceiling board first and foremost, ranolite ceiling paint. I think this is supposed to be ranolite on the outside, which is going, this one is for concrete purposes, this is for ceiling boards, and the paint is going to be 42 square meters, and we have a rate per square meter for the ceiling paint. And then the corners, we're going to be using the perimeter quantities as we did for the skating. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to transpose it right here. So we're done for the finishes. So as you can see right here, none of this is accounted for. Concrete screed should be 0, and then the skatings, timber skatings should also be 0 here. And then tile skating is accounted for. Aluminum skating, nothing is required over there. And then wall finishes, we have everything is accounted for. We have paint, and then we have evolution, wall tiles, kitchen splashback, nothing, stone cladding, timber cladding, nothing. And then ceiling finishes, everything is accounted for. And then when there is no landscaping, okay, actually there is landscaping to be done. So under here, starting off with the brick paving, we are going to be, so I'm going to go onto the ground floor, and I'm just gonna quantify the area that we are going to be using for the brick pavers. So that's what we get. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's about 30 square meters. So I'm gonna go in here. I'm just gonna type instead 30 square meters without doing the dimensions and whatnot. And then for the stone pebbles, we don't need any stone pebbles. We don't need any grass at this point in time. There is no timber decking to be done on this at this time. So as you can see right here, when it comes to the landscaping, only the brick pavers are accounted for rather than the stone pebbles or the grass. Now, there is no boundary wall that is going to be done here, so we can delete all the boundary wall information. Landscaping, move it to the far end. Boundary wall, also move it to the far end. Okay, now let's look at the windows and doors. So we have timber doors here. Now, timber doors, how many timber doors do we have? I'm just gonna say we have 3 timber doors, and each door is around 2.2, and that's what we get, which is a 6.6. 6.6, there you have it right there. And then the aluminum doors, we don't have any aluminum doors, so I can just go 0 here. When it comes to aluminum windows, we have the PTT 1818, and then we have the PT69. Now let's go on to online. Let's say Google right here. So I'm just gonna type in here PT69, and then it gives me like a set amount, and I'm looking at about 80. Build It has a window at this price. Leroy has it, but it's pricier. So I want to land somewhere in the middle. So I'm gonna go for 800 rand. So going back here, so the PTT9 is going to be 800 rand, and I only need one of those. And then the PTT 1818, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 3 of those windows, so it's going to go in here. I mean 3 of those windows, right? Actually, it's 4 of those windows. But then I need to figure out how much do they cost. So I'm gonna go back onto Google, type that in right there, and it gives me some amounts at the top right here. So 3.5 at Leroy. Who else is showing? I don't see anyone else. I see premium, I see cash build, it's 4,000. I see build it, it's 2,000. So I want to sit somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to go for 3.5 just to be safe. So I can just type in right there 3,500. And then that's what I'm going to be getting. So for the window, the aluminum doors, nothing is there. The aluminum windows, aluminum doors, nothing. Aluminum windows accounted for. Garage door, there is no garage door. Garage motor, there is no garage motor. Kitchen cabinets, no kitchen cabinets, no built-in wardrobe cabinets at this point in time, no steel structures, no timber structures, no balustrades, no steel balustrades, and no swimming pool and no timber decking. So everything from the garage door going down, I can delete because I do not need it at this point in time. I can also delete all of this. I'll leave the stone pebbles and grass because we might need it later. We'll just have to convince the client of that. And then the kitchen splashback, nothing is required. The stone cladding and the timber cladding. Some of the things I'm going to leave just for future reference, just in case something is required in the future. And I'm going to leave all of this information. Okay, so now we've gotten to the point whereby we know exactly how much material is required and how much the management fees are going to be. So now I need to account for contingencies. My standard rate for contingencies is around 20%. So I take the material cost and I extract 20% of the material cost for contingencies. What are contingencies? Unforeseen issues with the construction process, which includes transportation and delivery, fixing materials, equipment hire, and other unforeseen variables which happen during the construction process. So it's usually 20%. One of my mentors has been indicating that I should at least be charging an extra 30% for contingencies. But because this is a new construction, I can leave it at 20%. Usually for an extension, a house extension, I would go for around 30% to 35% for contingencies. And total cost materials, then which includes contingencies. So I take that amount, I add it to this amount, I come up with that amount. The management cost is going to be this amount, which ends up being that. And then the labor cost is going to be this amount. Now but this is not really the amount for the labor or that amount which is going to be and end up showing at the end. So let's just go through the process of identifying how do I quantify the labor fees for a project. I do have a formula here, so I have the number of days that something is going to take me to do, and then I have a specialist amount. For a specialist, I have 350 rand per person, and then how many of those people do I need? And then this will be, I'll take the total, and oh wait, I have the general here. And then under the general, usually for one specialist, I have two general. And for the general, I'm charging around 200 rand per day for a general person. And there's more calculations that are done, but at the end of the day, multiplying how many of these laborers do I need, multiplied by the day, that's how much I'm going to end up getting at the end of the day. And that's my total cost per day, or per unit price, or per item over here. So for site establishment, I'll say maybe I'll need 1 day. Demolition, let's add another day. Excavation, that's another day. And I'll need two, and two, meaning that's 4, 4, and 4. So for every one specialist, I add two generals. And then we have the concrete strips, concrete foundation strips. So for this one, I think we can do it in 1 day. The concrete foundation strips, I'm just going to do it 0. And then I'm going to go for 2 specialists and 4 generals. And then for the foundation bricks, I'm accounting for how many bricks. So for the calculations actually go like this. One specialist or one bricklayer on site can do 5,500 bricks per day. It's usually 500 to 750 bricks per day, but I always would like to go with the minimum, which is 500. So for the foundation, brickwork, I am going to need, let's say two general, two specialist, and then 4 general, right? So that means that it's going to be roughly 3 days to get that done. The mortar is sort of priced in. The brick forcing is also priced in because it's part of the work process, and also that brick forcing. So I only need 4,500 rand to for the laborers to get the foundation brickwork done, and then the surface bed. I think the surface bed can also be done in 1 day. The mesh is priced in, and then the damp-proof membrane is also priced in. So let's just say 2, because I will also need a day of reset to get the engineer on site to come and check if the work was done right. So I'll say 2 days to set up the steel work, and then invite the engineer to come in and check in the morning the next day. And then we can do a mix on site to get this to be the actual right amount. Now the concrete foundation, so I'm going to need 2 specialists, and then I'm going to need 4 general laborers. Now let's come onto the superstructure, and I'm looking at the cement bricks. I'm looking at about, let's say, cement bricks, I only need 1 day. And then I'm going to go ahead and say 2 and 4. And then for the cement blocks, I'll say I need, let's say 300 per day, or 250 blocks per person per day. So that means I am looking at about I'm looking at about 2, 4, 6. So I need about 3 days, and then I need 2 specialists, and then 4 general. Nothing here because I do not have that one. And then bonding is priced in, and then the brick forcing is also priced in. Brick forcing, damp-proof course, lintels. I'll just say 1 day, 2 and 4, just to be safe on the pricing for the labor. And then the plaster, 1 cube per day. In fact, way more than that. So I'm gonna say the plaster can actually be done in 2 days. I'll take 2 and 4. So now this amount, the total construction cost, including management, labor, and materials, is going to be this amount. It includes all of these amounts in here. And then what you want to do, if you are registered for VAT or you are charging for VAT, you are going to go ahead and extract 15% for VAT, and then you'll take that amount and that amount, and you'll add it up, and this is how much the total cost of this project is going to be. Because this is a cost estimation and we want to present it to the client, we don't present it as an Excel spreadsheet. We will present it as a PDF file. So I would go down here to page break view, and then I will just indicate how I want this to actually show. So I want my first page to show up like that, and then my second page to show up to the landscaping, and then the rest will be the third page. So then I can just press print, and then you have page 1, page 2, and then page 3. And I'm going to print it to a to Bluebeam print, and then it's going to be on the desktop. There's an existing one on the desktop, so I'm going to say 2.0 because I'm doing this for the second time. So that's how it's going to show up in PDF format. and that's what I'm going to be presenting to the client. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, do like, comment, and subscribe. See you on the next video. Love you guys. God bless you, and goodbye.
No, don't show yourself.